Everyone thought Anthony Hernandez would just run through Sean Strickland, but that's not what happened. Heading into this fight, Hernandez was supposed to dog walk Sean Strickland and stamp himself as the next challenger for Khamzat Chimaev. But instead, Fluffy was doubled over in the third round as Strickland teed off on him. His title run didn't take a step forward, it hit a brick wall. But this is what people missed. They treated Hernandez's loss to Kevin Holland like a fluke instead of a blueprint for how to disrupt his pressure. So now this changes how we look at both guys. Is Anthony Hernandez really built to be a top contender? And is Sean Strickland the one that could be standing across the room from Khamzat Chimaev next? Loses Sean Strickland. We had to have this come to Jesus moment because we kind of put the cart before the horse when it comes to Fluffy Hernandez. Okay, we saw the Roman Dolidze fight. We saw the aura farming where he's like eating punches with his hands down, graining at him. Like, we saw all of that. And we had to remember it was Roman Dolidze he was fighting. Let's be real, guys. He is a flawed fighter. Fluffy Hernandez is a very flawed fighter. He's very good. When he's on, he is almost impossible to stop. Acts like Brendan Allen. Acts Roman Dolidze. Like, acts the guys he's fought and beat already. Fluffy Hernandez is a problem for most fighters. He is a very tough opponent. He is a very, very hard to deal with opponent. And so is Sean Strickland, okay? So we look back and you go watch that Kevin Holland fight, and a lot of people looked at that fight kind of like, oh, that was a fluke. That wasn't a fight that was, worth watching again. But as I went back and watched the fight this week, I saw something peculiar. I saw Holland kind of slowing down Anthony Hernandez with the jab and with the side kick to the leg. Who has those weapons? Whose main two weapons are that? Sean Strickland. Lo and behold, Sean Strickland comes out and he jabs, and he didn't quite kick as much in this fight, which I was kind of shocked about. But he jabbed and he did what he had to do. You look back at that Holland fight like it's a fluke, and you miss the most important part about that fight, and it's that there are problems that Anthony Hernandez needs to solve. And over this win streak that he's put together, you've kind of asked yourself, like, what has he improved since then? How has he gotten better? And the fact of the matter is, guys, like, I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has gotten that much better. Maybe he's just a force to be reckoned with, and these styles make fights kind of play into his favor. Sean Strickland and like Nasruddin Imavov will probably destroy him. But you look at him like versus a Chimaev, and you're like, okay, maybe not so much. Or a Renner de Ritter, which was supposed to be who RDR was supposed to fight in his last loss. And you look at it and you're like, okay, I can kind of see a path to victory for Anthony Hernandez there. It played out horribly for Anthony Hernandez, though. You know what Sean Strickland's going to do. You know his game. You know how he's going to come to attack. You know he's going to jab you, and he's going to be very hard to hit, and it's going to be very hard to take down. That's what Sean Strickland does. Like, it's not rocket science. That's what Sean Strickland does. And in the lead up to this, we pointed it out what Sean Strickland was going to do because it's that predictable. I'm not the best analyst on the planet. No, not by far. There's guys like Finyo, Jack Slack, Ghost, Miguel, Ryan Wagner. Those guys are phenomenal compared to what I do. But even my simple monkey brain could be like, duh, teep and jab. It doesn't make any sense how you can get caught up in this. But here we are, and Fluffy Hernandez, one of my favorite fighters in the division, one of the ones I look forward to the most, getting caught up in the Sean Strickland trap. Thank God it didn't go 5 rounds, because I couldn't have put up with 5 rounds. I might have done myself in and went to bed that night. It was that bad. Anybody wants to hone in on, oh yeah, Fluffy, he's soft to the body. He's soft to the body. He can't handle the body. It wasn't the body that did him in. It wasn't the body. No, it was the jab the entire time. The jab and then the cross. And then the sliding, lateral slide that Strickland does to land his right hand over the top. That's what he did, and that's how he beat up Anthony Hernandez. See, Fluffy didn't lose because, Sean Strickland's a better fighter. No, Fluffy lost because he did not realize that, I'm going to have to deal with the 2 weapons Sean Strickland has. How did Drickus do it? How do you beat him? I'm going to impose my game. And there's that approach. Yes, you could impose your own game on somebody. Sure. There's always that approach. But when you come into this and you say, I'm going to impose my game and not have a backup, that's on you. That's on you, Fluffy Hernandez, because it was not one of those performances that was inspiring. It was not one of those performances that was like, man, he really could be a champion one day, even if Khamzat Chimaev is the champion. No. And that leads us to why Sean Strickland's so tricky. Because he's an incredibly difficult, an incredibly frustrating fighter to fight. Insanely frustrating. We saw it early in the night. First of all, the jab, right? The jab was a fantastic weapon for Sean Strickland. There were several he's not even hitting Anthony Hernandez hard, but there are several moments where Sean Strickland, boom, snaps his head back. Several moments of that. And instead, Sean Strickland, he comes in and he's just, I'm going to pop you in the jab with the jab. And when he does, that gives Hernandez, who wants to come forward, a pause. Like, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't come forward right now. Maybe I should slow down because he might come with that cross. The cross that eventually did me in. He might come with that. And that right there totally negated the pressure of Anthony Hernandez. He didn't learn a thing from the Kevin Holland fight. He didn't learn a single thing. Instead, he just sat there, took the shots, got beat up. And it sucked to watch, man. It did. You watch, Jack Slack brought this up. You watch the two Dricus du Plessis fights, and the first one was so much closer to the second one. Why? And it was because du Plessis managed to stand in the middle of the cage and say, all right, Strickland, I'm not coming forward. You're going to have to come to me. That's why Dricus had so much more pressure. That's why he had so much more success against Sean Strickland in the rematch. Go back and watch those two fights. The first fight, du Plessis coming forward. The second, not so much. He makes Strickland engage first, and that's where Dricus du Plessis does his best work. Instead, Fluffy Hernandez decided to be Dricus 1 instead of Dricus 2. That's it. Now, it was interesting because there was not so many teeps in this fight. There were not so many push kicks and all that. And I called for that in the preview episode, sure. But also, at the same time, you watch, he's a wrestler and you don't want him to catch your kicks. Now, I think Strickland would have gotten rolling with that. He does that step-up low kick great. He'll step up and he'll kick with the front leg. That's a very good weapon for somebody to have, to be able to kick with both the front and the back foot. That's a fantastic weapon for both fighters to have. And Sean Strickland can do both. And he does that really, you remember that march he does where he looks like he's a Muay Thai Sean Strickland, whatever you want to call it. He probably was going to get that rolling at some point. That was probably the deal. And when Hernandez is tired and out because Strickland's tiring him out, it worked. It worked fantastic. Now, of course, in his post-fight interview, he goes and says, I want a piece of that Chechen, he wants to fight. He wanted to fight Chimaev. That's basically what he said. I want to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Okay, I like that. I can handle that. I can put up with that. I don't think that's a good idea. I think Sean Strickland loses that fight. And if the UFC's wanting to get kind of a redemptive story, you book him versus Sean Strickland, One of those guys are going to be redeemed, or it's going to be boring. And then we'll hate Chimaev even more, or Strickland even more. But, one of those guys is going to be redeemed. Because you remember, everybody hates on Khamzat Chimaev because of the Dricus du Plessis fight and how boring it was. I get that. And it did kind of suck. It actually sucked a lot, if you want to know the truth. But at the same time, you got to give Strickland the opportunity too. So Nasruddin Imavov is the one that is should be next for Khamzat Chimaev. Nasruddin Imavov should be next. Sean Strickland beat Nasruddin Imavov, knocked him out actually. So you can argue that case despite Strickland lost to du Plessis twice in a row. Now he's finally got his win back. Yeah. But he also knocked out the number one contender. And the guy that the number one contender beat, Israel Adesanya, Strickland beat too. Maybe not as emphatic, but Strickland also beat him. So, whatever Imavov has, Strickland always got the one-ups. Yeah, but I beat you. I beat you. And the UFC loves to put title contenders in, or former title holders in with contenders or new champions. Let's build Chimaev's now. Let's see how much better Chimaev is. Because I think Khamzat Chimaev runs through Sean Strickland. And I get, I did spend this entire episode talking about how Sean Strickland like feasts upon pressure fighters. And Khamzat Chimaev is absolutely a pressure fighter. But it's a different kind of pressure. Let's be honest. It's a way different kind of pressure. And there is a world where Chimaev can lose to Sean Strickland, which would be the most hilarious outcome of all time. Like, oh no. What? Can you imagine? Can y'all imagine Sean Strickland ending the title reign of Israel Adesanya and Khamzat Chimaev? That would be hilarious. That would be insane. Oh, people would be on the edge, bro. They'd be about ready to jump off. Like that. But it does concern me going into that fight. Like, does Strickland actually have a chance? Because, like, Hernandez got him to the fence and pressured him to the fence. And as great as Anthony Hernandez is, he didn't finish Sean Strickland. Khamzat Chimaev will finish that takedown attempt. And once you're there, it's the end of the world. Go back. I know it's a long time ago, but go back and watch the Kamaru Usman fight. Go watch that with Sean Strickland at 170. Kind of similar to what I think you would see. Kind of similar. Except I think Chimaev, after all of the hate he's gotten recently, I think he goes out there and finishes Sean Strickland. I think he can. I think he's capable of it. Choke him out. You watch Sean Strickland against like the Alex Pereira, the Israel Adesanya. He can step up to the big show, and he's not really scared of anybody because he knows his skills. But he can either look great, the Israel Adesanya fight, or this fight we just had this weekend, or he can look terrible, the Alex Pereira fight. He does have some brain dead game plan sometimes. So I'm not on the fence about Sean Strickland versus Chimaev. I'm way more convinced that he loses this fight than I was for that, for the fluffy fight. It's like I'm taking a victory lap right now because like I called it, and I don't call fights that often, you know. But this I made the perfect read on. I knew the jab was going to give Fluffy Hernandez problems. I knew it, and that is how we're here. That's how Sean Strickland won the fight. Wild times we're living in. Sean Strickland, Hall of Famer. Wild times.